All right, Shalom. We got just a couple more prefixes to go. The next prefix is the prefix "a." The prefix "a." You should remember the Paleo "a" and the Assyrian "a," and that in front of a word. For instance, if I was talking about the word "amar," which means to say, if I say "amar," is I will say. I will say. Amar. I mean I. Everybody got that?
Yeah. You said I or
it means I. It means basically I or I will. I is putting your an I in front, making it is pertaining to you. I. Okay.
Yeah, like when he said, "I am that I am."
Right.
Which is why those
Right,
clowns spoke up the name.
Right now, that's, you know what? It's the spirit. All right. For instance, they say Ahaya, Asher Ahaya. Ahaya will say I, which means Haya, which also means am or exist or be, because Hawa and Haya mean basically the same things, but it's just used in different, different ways. All right. And so saying Ahaya, Ashar, that which I am that Ahaya, I am. And they'll say, oh, that's the name. Well, that's going off, and that's a whole bunch of shit. Just means I. And only person who can say I am is the Most High, because He is, which is His name.
Right.
Yahweh, He is.
Right.
It's that simple. No more. The simplicity in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. No more, no less, as my God said. Simple. All right.
So more.
We don't run around saying all praises be to the great I am.
That or I am, but to the great I am that I am.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They don't. Because as soon as you say I am, you're talking about yourself.
Right.
And it's that simple. And then it also negates every time in the Bible when it says Yahweh as the Lord. He is. That's His name. And then it clearly in Exodus says, praise Him, tell them my name is, when they say Jehovah, right. Yahweh. He said that. Tell them my name is Yahweh.
Right.
So that knocks that. But I as a prefix, I. Okay? That's the spirit though. That was beautiful. So the next prefix is na. The word na. We should remember na and the Paleo, and then the na and the Assyrian, and it means we or we will. We. Na as a prefix, we. So we're going to say, we will say, it will be like Na'amar. Na'amar.
So it's we and we will too.
Pardon me?
You said we will too.
It's basically saying we will or we. Okay. We. It's basically we or we will. Okay. We. So if you say Na'amar, it's basically saying we say or we will say. All right. It's we. As a prefix, we. If we're going to say we love, for instance, the Hebrew word for love is what?
The Hebrew word for love?
Mm-hmm. Ahab. Exactly. Ahab. So if we say we love, we will say Na'ahab. Na'ahab Yahweh. We love Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? Na'ahab. Na, we. Alright? And the last prefix is Tha. Alright? We all should remember the Tha and the Paleo. And we should remember it in the Assyrian. And Tha means she or you,
That is like the possum would do.
She or you or and sometimes they.
Trying to shake that up. Yeah, because sideways T or X.
Right. It's basically an X with just a little elongated stroke.
It's like the possum.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost. And you talking about in the Greek?
Yeah.
A little bit.
But we just got that turn in.
Right. So if you're going to say she will say, you will say tha'amar. Or you will say tha'amar.
Oh yeah, you know that thigh, paleo, it's like cross. When
Right.
you're outside, get on the cross, you like it's done. It's the end.
And it's the last.
It's the last,
alphabet,
right.
That's a good observation, bro.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
hot, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that brother D. What Elder Ricard say?
That's why
he's
wanted
a
to
bad
get that count,
He's a
bro.
bad dude. God, so that right there is the prefixes. We're gonna go over them real briefly. All right. This is the ya.
Yeah.
Next one.
Ba. In. La. Two. Wa. And. Ka. As. Like. Ma. From. Sha. That. Which. Who.
That pertains to.
Wish I got a cello girl.
Don't tell her.
They try to duck her now, boy.
Don't, I was gonna tell her.
Which means I.
Nah.
We will. And
She. You. They.
All right. So now, next week when we go over these, I want first of all to be able to recognize. I'll say what's the prefix for they, or he. And then you all give me the character in the Paleo and the Assyrian, and then the transliterated, the Ya, and the Y is a YA. All right? And then I'm going to ask, give me a word that supports it, that's in the word. So if you're talking about Yahweh, you can put Yahweh, he is. Or Yahweh Shai, he delivers. All right? And you can do that. And each one, if it's the halachem, if it's the bread, or bahashem, it coming in the name, we have got to give an example of it being used as a prefix. So I'm going to want a prefix, and as in known with the character in the Paleo and in the Syrian, what it is in the English, what it is in the transliterated, and then also in usage, which is real simple. It really shouldn't be that hard. If you go, and this is a good study habit. I went over and learned the Greek solidly. What was it? Yesterday you saw me studying in the morning.
Right.
I just went over it and I spent maybe a couple hours. It wasn't even a couple hours. Maybe 30 minutes just writing it down, going over the letters, writing it down, going over the letters, writing it down. Today I did a recap briefly in the morning, and then it was locked in. It really doesn't take too much time because we're grown men and our minds are at a level where we learn by repetition. You just sit down and apply yourself. Matter of fact, real briefly before we go to the next segment, going through I learned the Greek real simple. You know the Hebrew now, right? If you was going to say the Hebrew alphabet, Abba Gada Hawaza Khati Yakalamana Sa'ipad Tzakwa Rashatha, right? I went to Abba Gada How. What they hate using wa, so I'm like I automatically ain't gonna have a word for wa because they don't want that's part of the father's name. Alpha
They put
ba.
a V there, right?
No, they wouldn't put anything because they don't want to say wa.
It's the one no sound. That's
Right. Right, that's one of the
Right.
ones that's no sound. So, or they use a V, but that's going off. So,
So they do put a V.
So right, sometimes, but so I'm not going to. So I say, okay, that's not going to be part of the Greek because they're not going to add that. So I just eliminated that. I was like, ba, ga, da, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, ha. They use a lot of times for ha. They replace it with the e sound. So I'm like, ha is e, epsilon. Then wa, I just they're not going to use it. I just ignored that. Then za, zeta, cha, and it looks like an H. So and the cha in the Hebrew looks like a stepladder with the H in the paleo. I'm like, that's the same. I can associate that. Cha, ta, theta with the T. Ya, a lot of times they replace ya, the Y for an I as in hallelujah. You'll see IAH. You know what I'm saying? And, or you use Yah as an IAH or JAH. So I'm like, okay, Yah would be the I. That's easy. Ka, kappa, la, lambda, ma, mu, na, nu. Sa, well, that's zai. I'm like, okay, I remember the sa with the zai. I, if the Hebrew I is a what? In the paleo, it looks like a circle, right? Like an O, well, that's the O. Man, I, pa, pi. Tazah qua, they're not going to have the tazah or qua. Okay, don't worry about that. Ra, ro, sha, sigma, tha, tau. It was real similar. So I'm like, okay, I can just go to the paleo and kind of have a mark. So when we get to the end of that, oops, it's some more. Oopsilon, all right, oops, and then just remember phi, chi, psi, and omega, and remember them, and then that's it. And that was how I was like, okay, I got it. As long as I remember the Hebrew paleo, how it should be, how Esau goes off, and that's how I made an association. Everybody gonna make their own.
Exactly what they did.
Right.
But you just had this a beautiful epiphany, so to speak, just
right.
like this brother did.
Right. To just have to make it work for me to remember it, and that's how.
Actually, that's what they did.
It possibly.
What you saying is actually what they did, brother.
I wouldn't be surprised, But that's what I did.
They dropped this and they dropped that, and then and it was something that they could remember.
Right. So and then I made, for the learning the characters, I had little bits and pieces of things in there to help me remember that. And however it makes works for you, for your mind to remember something, make it work for you and remember it. And make an association that triggers that memory. And then it'll be simple. All right. So I'm going to briefly go through this next part. I'm going to briefly, matter of fact, we'll be at 2:10. Yeah, I'm getting pressed for time. So, matter of fact, that we won't have 5 words this week.
I actually think the prefixes.
The prefix right time because we ran out of time. So obviously, because I have to go to my other gig. So basically, that's going to be next week. Test is going to be basically on the prefixes and using them associated with words, and then Yahweh willing. And matter of fact, I guess this is the spirit because you will have words that you have to have in the Hebrew because in order to, you have to pick a word to associate with the prefix. So you're still going to have a Hebrew word to remember, but it has to be associated with one of the prefixes. So you can pick whatever word that's going to work, that works grammatically and makes common sense to associate. Take a Hebrew word that you can associate the prefix with, and that'll be the quiz for next week. So does anybody have any questions or anything? With that, we're going to say all praises and honor to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders out of New York at GMS who have been diligently laboring, teaching this truth, and have put that spirit and promoted that spirit of diligence in the study of our history into us. And honors to all you brothers out there in different camps lifting up the name of Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai. And with that, we're going to say shalom.